Chapter 6. They weren't kidding when they called her, well, a witch. Uma seethed as she swam under the waves, thinking about all the ways she had been wronged. For a brief moment, back at the Oradon Cotillion, she had been a princess. She had stood on the deck of a magnificent ship, and Ben was hers. He had looked in her eyes with love. Sure, he had been spelled, but who really cared? Except in the end, that's all it was, a brief moment. As always, Mal had messed things up for her, and Uma was left floundering in the waves alone. What was it Ben had said to her that night? I know you want what's best for the Isle. Help me make a difference. He had offered her his hand, but she hadn't taken it. Instead, she had returned his ring and swum away. But her rage had not diminished. Mal, daughter of Maleficent, meddlesome, annoying, heroic Mal. It was always Mal. Still, Uma had to admit, it wasn't all that bad spending this much time in the ocean. At least, not at first. She never had the chance before when she was trapped on the island behind that invisible barrier. Now the world was hers to explore, the undersea world, that is. She had ventured to the deepest depths, seen ancient creatures of incredible size, swum with fish so big that she spent days lounging on their backs, feeling the sun in her hair and the salt spray on her cheeks. But eventually she'd grown listless and bored. After all, how many coconuts can one person eat? 527. She had counted. Uma missed her pirates. She missed their camaraderie. She missed Harry's smart mouth and his sly banter. She missed Gil's goofy appetites. She had been alone too long, under the sea in the water, with only sharks for company. And sharks were only entertaining for so long. She could go anywhere she wanted on Oradon, but Uma found herself drawn back to the Isle of the Lost. She didn't belong among the fresh-faced, good-hearted residents of the mainland. She wanted to be back at Ursula's fish and chip shop, making jokes with her crew and scheming to free everyone from the island once and for all. And maybe, just maybe, she wanted to go home. Home was a place where, when you showed up, they had to take you in, right? She'd seen something like that embroidered on a random pillow in Oradon, so it had to be true. Uma spent many days swimming around the water surrounding the isle, searching for a hole in the invisible barrier. Days turned into weeks until she lost count. But Fairy Godmother's spell was too strong. Still, there had to be a way to break it. Didn't there? Uma was a witch. She had her mother's seashell necklace and the powers of the sea in her blood. She drew herself up to her greatest height, transforming into a giant octopus with 8 arms, and tried to cast her spells. "Break before me!" she screamed. She felt the magic pulse in her throat and in her veins. The very skies above the island cracked with lightning and thunder. "I command you to break!" she raged. Nothing happened. The barrier around the Isle of the Lost stood firm. The villains, including her pirate crew, would be trapped behind the dome forever. There was no way out or in. Uma returned to her human form and swam away. Once in a while she glimpsed a few pirates at the coastline and tried to call to them. One afternoon, she even spied Harry stealing another fisherman's catch. "Harry!" she called. "Harry!" But he didn't notice. He just unhooked that unfortunate soul's line and stole away with the bounty. Another day there was Gil, skipping stones on the beach. "Gil! I'm right here! Gil!" she yelled. Gil looked into the distance. "Uma?" he asked. He looked down and found a large seashell. He put the conch to his ear. "Yes, I'm right here!" But he didn't seem to hear her. Eventually, he set the conch down. The next time she saw the boys on the deck of her ship, she didn't even bother to call out to them. There was no use. It was as if she were as invisible to them as the barrier. Uma dived down into the depths again. Maybe if she swam deep enough, she would find a place where the barrier ended. It felt like she had been swimming forever, down and down, cutting across currents and into the dark deep below. And still the barrier held. There was truly no way through the spell. Except, what was that? That sound? Was she dreaming? Or was it rock music? Coming from the depths below?